Hi, I'm Nicholeen Peck. I teach all over the world about parenting, good communication, and how to build strong family bonds, all through the principle of self-government. And in this video, we're talking about creating safe environments for children by teaching boundaries. In this video, we're going to be talking about safety, what creates a safe environment, and then boundaries, and how boundaries give the message of safety to children. Every child wants to know their boundary. Why? Because it actually makes them feel safe. So let's talk about safety and children. Children, even if they're daredevils, they want to know that they have that safe place. It's usually in their mother's arms or their father's arms. You know, when they are feeling nervous, worried, unsure, they have to step out of a comfort zone, something like that, they want to know that everything's okay and that they feel safe. And definitely that embrace of a parent or having that parent there for them is one of those things that creates that feeling of safety. But also knowing that there is a stopping place creates safety. In fact, there are many things that teach boundaries to children. Some you might not even have recognized before. I think many times when we think of boundaries, we think of, well, that's a no answer and that's a yes answer. So no, stay away from that, stay away from that. That's the boundary line. But are we also aware that just knowing who the parent is and honoring the parent teaches a boundary? So if we maintain parental authority or roles in the family, that actually is a boundary line. You're the child, I'm the parent. That's a boundary line. There are things like instructions that create boundaries, like, oh, we wake up at this time. That means at this time of day, then now there's a boundary line between you and the bed and you can't get back in it, right? So there's instructions that create boundaries as well. There's morals that create boundaries. We know that, right? There's respect for others that oftentimes creates boundaries. That's one that we may think about more regularly as well. But did you know that there's also things that we tell a child to do that create boundaries? So we might say, okay, so we want you to cross over this boundary line. We want you to go and meet a new person. That's actually one of those boundaries that pushes you past an existing boundary, where you create a new boundary on the other side of something. These are all boundaries that we teach our children. We teach them how to protect themselves, where there are no answers for other people and where there are no answers for them, and how they have to keep all these boundaries in check. They don't always succeed, do they? In fact, many times they cross over boundary lines, they touch somebody else, they poke, they breathe, they take, or they let somebody touch them in a way that they shouldn't or something like that. And then we have to explain that's not okay. We don't touch people like that. We don't embrace people like that. So really, there are a lot of boundaries that children have to learn. And when we teach all of these boundaries where they know the yeses and the nos of all of these things, then that helps them feel very secure in their environments. So we're going to talk about one of the basic skills for teaching boundaries to children and how you can help correct them when they need some help with their boundaries. But before we do that, do you see that subscribe button? Just go ahead and click it. It's for you, and then you'll be able to see more videos. So there is a skill, it's one of the 4 basic skills of self-government that is really meant to help with teaching boundaries. And that is the skill accepting no answers. So there are 4 basic skills of self-government. They are following instructions, accepting no answers and criticism, accepting consequences, and disagreeing appropriately. But it is the skill that is taught in this book here, Porter Earns a Quarter, that teaches accepting no answers, which is really the one that helps us rein in ourselves so that we don't cross over boundary lines. So there is a children's book for all of the 4 basic skills, but let me just show you a little bit about what is in this book. So you see in this book, here's little Porter. It's breakfast time. And he does not want the breakfast. He wants something else. Mom tells him, no, you can't have something else. This is what you have to have. So it's a no answer and then basically an instruction to eat this other breakfast. He is not doing well at accepting that boundary line, that no answer. In fact, he's very unhappy. We need to explain to children that they are often unhappy if they do not accept their boundary lines. Okay, look at this picture here. We see Porter in the back seat of the car. He's in the middle seat. Most children do not love the middle seat, right? And you see he is very grumpy. Did you know that when a person chooses to be grumpy or emotional, they're actually crossing over an emotional boundary line? They didn't get their way, so it was a no answer. Anytime you don't get your way, that's a no answer. Any no answer is technically a boundary line. But the way that you respond to that boundary makes a big difference. He is not responding in a productive way. In fact, there's another picture here where he doesn't get the ball, and look how grumpy his face is in that picture. He is also not accepting the no answer that he didn't get to have that ball at that time. That's a boundary. Nope, somebody else took the ball, so you don't get it right now unless you go and get it. Well, the way he's responding to that no answer or that boundary is actually negatively impacting him. But when we move on later in the story, we see that there are some cookies. And Porter wants the cookies. He doesn't get to have the cookies. So there is a line that he should not cross over right there. That is a boundary line. To not take the cookies because it's not time. The same could be applied for if he took something that didn't belong to him, right? Well, now he has a skill, which his mother is reminding him about the skill for accepting a no answer. And then you see the way that he responds to the skill. He is able to do all the steps to accepting no answer, and look how happy he is. So what are those steps to accepting a no answer? They are 4 things. You look at the person or the situation, because sometimes someone doesn't tell you no. Sometimes it's just a situation, a boundary line, that's a no, right? Like cutting somebody off in traffic, that's a no answer. It's a boundary. It's dangerous. You shouldn't do it, right? So you look at the person or the situation, you keep a calm face, voice, and body, then you say, okay, and you accept the boundary, or you ask to disagree appropriately. So if you're talking to a person, you could always ask to disagree appropriately. And then you drop the subject. If you see cookies in front of you, you say, oh, there's cookies and they're saved for something else or a different time. I can't have them right now. So I need to say no to myself. Nope, I can't have them. And then I need to stay calm about it and just say, okay, that's what it is. I'm not having a cookie. And then just drop the subject. Go off and do something else. Do not think about the cookies again. Because if you keep thinking about those cookies, chances are you are going to have a hard time accepting that no answer or honoring that boundary line. Sometimes people have a hard time understanding where their boundary lines are. There is a problem-solving exercise called a SODAS exercise. That stands for situation, options, disadvantages, advantages, solution. This is a place where you can write down those SODAS exercises and it teaches you how to do them. The SODAS exercise is so great because it helps them see boundary lines that they haven't seen before and why they might want to honor those boundary lines. So the parent gives a situation that may suggest a boundary line and then helps the child decide what to do when they see that boundary line. Should they just say okay and walk away so that they don't cross over the line? Or if they cross over the line, what might happen? Or if they choose to disagree appropriately, what might happen? Or any other number of options that they might have in the options step. If you take some time to talk through circumstances with your children and help them see the boundary lines ahead of time, then they will be much more successful when it's time to actually observe those boundaries. So we have to talk about the boundary lines. We have to label them as no answers. We have to give other options like the skill disagreeing appropriately, which is another great skill to honor. Now, there is something else that we do in the teaching self-government model of parenting, and that is we have meetings. So we have times where we meet together as a family, and people have to take turns when they talk. They have to honor the person who is leading the meeting as well. This is a great time to practice giving yourself a no answer when other people are concerned also. Because sometimes people don't touch that thing or take that thing, but when it comes to people, they just interrupt all the time. And that is somebody not honoring a boundary. There are so many boundaries that we could teach our children about. In fact, the sky is the limit, but if you teach them the 4 basic skills of self-government, which are following instructions, accepting no answers and criticism, accepting consequences, and disagreeing appropriately, then you will be on the fast track to helping your children understand and honor boundaries more. You can find out about all of these books, the children's book sets, the journal sets, the courses, and the trainings on the website teachingselfgovernment.com. And on that website, there is a free Calm Parenting Toolkit as well that you can start using in order to create an environment where you have calmness, so that when there's a boundary that shouldn't be crossed over, everybody can handle it calmly. Click on the link in the description below this video right now. It will take you to the website, the Teaching Self-Government website, and you can see that Calm Parenting Toolkit now and get it for free. We'll see you there.